This is the 22nd season of Bass Talk Live. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Strike King Lures, AFTCO, Pro Guide Batteries, Spro, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Beatdown Outdoors, and Sunline.
BTL coming at you.
Good morning and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live. We're going to talk about bass fishing back to regularly scheduled programming at 8:30 a.m. Monday through Thursday. Did a special edition show last night with Dave Rush from bestontour.net. Also had Jody White that jumped on and it ended up being a 2-hour show. There's a lot of different tournaments in the industry right now between the pro circuit and the BPT and the Bassmaster Elite Series and the Open EQs and the NPFLs. And we just kind of broke down all of those. Who's fishing for a spot to maintain their spot on the BPT or the Elite Series in 2027? Who's making the move from the pro circuit to the BPT next year? We had a crazy tournament out of Messina where the guys had to fish in the Toyota Series in a 15-mile stretch of river and still averaged over 20 pounds a day. But if you want to get caught up, or if you've got to drive, just a good show that kind of talks about everything from August on as to what to look for as we wrap up. It's hard to believe we're saying wrap up already. Wrap up the 2026 season of professional fishing. We got a good lineup next week. We got Uncle Frank on tomorrow. He's going to drop his latest Signature Series color. Also, don't forget we have a trailer watchdog contest going on where you can monitor your tire temperature, your tire pressure, and the temperature of your axles as you tow all through an app. And we're running a contest through August 13th. If you have a nightmare trailering story, just like one of those, man, I wish I'd known what was going on before it was too late. And you look to your left and a wheel's rolling past you. You're stuck on the side of the road in a sketchy highway or desolate area. Just any story like that. Email that story to matt@basszone.com and also info@basszone.com. And then we'll redact the names. We've got some great stories so far from guys who are just like, man, I am glad I am not that guy. But be as creative as you want. Include photos if you want. And then we'll pick a winner. That winner will receive the trailer watchdog package valued up to $500. And you can install it on your trailer, whether you have a single axle or dual axle. And then next week, we're going to go a little bit off the grid. Monday, we have a noted muskie lure designer. He kind of designed, I said this last night, the Quakey of muskie baits, the Bondi bait. If you're from up north around the Lake St. Clair area, you know this thing is legendary. But prior to that, John Bondi was an Elite Series pro with a Moose Tracks ice cream wrap. And when I first got out on tour, John was one of the really affable, well-liked guys out there. So I reached out to John. He's good buddies with Charlie Hartley. Charlie Hartley mentioned him on the show, and I've been wanting to get John on, so I reached out and got him on. And then also on Tuesday, Logan Green will be on the show, and he is a college angler, has a really good social media presence, but he does stuff that should have 100, 200,000 followers, just really good on the water stuff, and also funny, but also has a small business that he started where he recycles used plastics and then donates a portion of that to charity, builds new baits with it. Really cool stuff. So Logan will be on Tuesday. Last night with Jody White on, we went through the 5 anglers who this past week on Lake Share, last 2 weeks ago now. I fished that Bass Nation last week, so you lose a week of your life every time you fish a tournament. Then you get back and you're like, whoa, where did the time go? But one of those names of the 5 guys who are jumping up, who qualified for the BPT in 2027 is a name that I was familiar with. I first met this guy at the Twin Spillways. I wonder if he remembers it. We'll bring him in for it. It's Connor Jacob. Thanks for jumping on, Connor. Do you remember the first time we met?
First time we met, where was it?
It would have been the Grand Lake National Championship for Bass,
the
and
boat
we were
ramp
the
right
only
there.
two putting in the Twin Spillways boat ramp at Grand for that
Definitely.
brutally tough Bass Nation tournament.
Yeah, I remember you were like a celebrity. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Matt. That's the best top 5 guy.
Yeah, you've definitely climbed the ladder a little bit since then, but
You made it to the show. It's a win.
Yeah, definitely. Well, since that time, I don't think you've launched the boat and had a bad day on the water. You had an incredible year. Well, in that tournament, you finished in the top 3. You made the Bassmaster Classic. You fished the 2025 Bassmaster Classic. You did well in the Opens. Then you fished the 2026 Pro Circuit. You finished in the top 10 in the Angler of the Year there. And a couple weeks ago, they handed you a slip that said, hey, congratulations. You have qualified as one of the 50 anglers on the Bass Pro Tour. And when I reached out to you, I was thinking about that. I saw that and I said, damn, that's a pretty good 2.5 years, Connor.
Yeah, it's been a very consistent 2.5 years, which I it was something I wanted to strive for since college. And I had some ups and downs. I would never say I was like a zero or hero guy, but it felt good to finally this last few years kick that like occasional bomb that would derail a season. So I'm not complaining. I mean, I would have liked to work in a few more wins. I've had a handful of seconds and thirds and stuff like that, but I'm not going to start nitpicking now. After they handed me that qualifying cardboard, I was like, okay, it's all fine. The 20ths are all worth it.
Let's start at the beginning because you and I are from the same state of Illinois. And for the longest time, Illinois had Doc Merkin, Chad Morgan Taylor. I guess you could say Matt Steffen was Chicago for a while, but that was kind of before. And then he moved up to Wisconsin. But it wasn't really what I would consider a hotbed for top level professional angling. And Drew Gill is an Illinois guy, and Trey McKinney is an Illinois guy. And even though you now reside in Alabama, you also are an Illinois guy.
Yeah, it's me and my roommate Ryan Lockney. He qualified as well.
Oh, Ryan's an Illinois guy too.
No, he's not.
Oh,
but we were talking
he's in Alabama.
about this. He's a Virginia guy. He's out there. But we were talking about this, and he was like, dude, you could become the best 5th angler in the world and still be 3rd best in Illinois. And I was like, isn't that horrible? Like, I kind of want to be the local good guy from my state. It's like, it's a tall mountain to climb. So, I mean, it's a good thing, but it's weird. It kind of popped up in a weird time for me too, because growing up, like you were listing some of those guys, I was kind of out of the loop, and I was trying to break into the industry from outside of it, I guess. And I didn't really have any inside sources. So I didn't really know or recognize anyone from Illinois. And then I moved to college, and that's when these, the Drew, because they're a little younger than me. I think Drew's Trey's definitely younger than me, and Drew's a year or two younger. So I was in college kind of doing my thing, and I was like, who's this Drew Gill guy? And then I heard about Trey late in college. It was like the old fishing college guy who I knew was like, hey, you heard of this kid? And I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. You just talk. And then he told me his BFL results, and I was like, okay, that's a little scary, but like just BFLs, who knows? And then, he hopped on the Opens and did that. So it kind of happened quick. Originally in the beginning of my college career, I was kind of like, oh, I'm from Illinois. And everyone was like, oh, that's crazy. We've never heard of that. And now, like you said, it's become quite a little hotbed of talented anglers recently.
Yeah. I'll pull up I'll see if I can do this here. I'll pull up a map of Illinois, and we'll kind of get a little lay of the land. There it is, right there. So there's the state capital, Springfield, known as the Land of Lincoln, little power plant lake there in Springfield. That I grew up fishing the Thursday nighters there. Where I grew up is Decatur, right there, and then you are from Peoria.
Yep.
Right, and that's the Illinois right there, isn't it?
Yep, right up there.
Yeah, I fished a Bass Nation state team qualifier out of the river in Illinois, and I led my state team when I was 16 years old with one fish for 2 pounds 12 ounces over 2 days.
Yep. Yeah, and if you gave me a couple minutes, I could probably tell you which marina you caught it in too. Out of the 4.
Red shad lizard. So you're by far the furthest north, and then you kind of head down into the south here. You got Lake of Egypt. You've got Rend. You've got Carlisle. A couple little power plant lakes down there. But this is kind of the neck of the woods that Trey and Drew are from. Drew, I think, is a little bit more towards Indiana.
Yeah, they have it a little better down there. They've got a little better lakes, and they're a little closer to Kentucky too. So,
but growing up in Peoria, I mean, you had the Illinois River, and what else did you fish to learn the trade in Illinois?
That river is so bad that just growing up, like I said, I wasn't really in a tournament scene, so I grew up fishing ponds around my house or whatever. I didn't bass fish. I didn't launch a bass boat on that river until I came home from college with a wrap boat that said Auburn. Never fished, never made a cast on that river until I was like a junior. No, I had to be sophomore in college, but still grew up 10 minutes from the river, probably like 15 minutes from a boat ramp. It's all silted in. I mean, there's literally one channel that the barges can make it in, and you have to idle wherever you launch. It's a huge giant lake too. Like you get out there and it's like, oh, this is going to be awesome. There's no mapping. I mean, the mapping's like a foot contour, and you churn mud, and there's Asian carp jumping on your way to the channel. And then you run a little bit, idle into a marina, catch the one bass in there. Yeah, like he jumps on a buzzbait the moment you cast down the riprap, but like there's one of them. And then you idle out and go to the next one. So I didn't even spend my time on that. I wish I had, because in college I spent some time out there when I was working during COVID, and it was just close to the house, and I'd go out after work. And I learned a lot. I mean, it's still a horrible fishery, but like it was fun to fish. But I would drive to Clinton. So Clinton is the only big lake that would allow. We have a lot of limitations on horsepower. Yeah,
big lake.
Yeah, I'm still in the headspace.
It's got good fish in it though.
It's a good lake. They have decent sized high school tournaments back when I was trying to get into it, and I could run my big boat. I had a Ranger originally with like a 175 on it, but we had little like Banner Marsh is one. It's some strip mine lakes, and it was a 25 horse limit. And I have it down here. I've got a little 10 rig with 25 horse, and it was great back then. It's kind of what I spent like a year fishing out of that. And there was Evergreen was a 10 horse limit that I could idle around. So I spent early high school doing that. And then when I got more serious into fishing, it just progressed. And then we just started going out of state. Like I got really lucky and qualified at Clinton for a national championship. I had no idea how this worked. It was like, let's fish that tournament. We won. And we shouldn't have won. It was way, way early. We threw a chatterbait around and got really fortunate. And I got to go to Pickwick, and that was like my eye-opening experience. That's why I went to school in Alabama and everything. It was like, this is awesome. Like, show up and there's 500 guys in bass boats ripping around for this tournament. I was like, I need to get here. And then it kind of all snowballed from there. But yeah, there wasn't much opportunity right there around Peoria.
I know Terry Brown, Wired to Fish, Illinois was one of the premier, actually it might have been the premier state for high school fishing, and this was back at the day when you're there right before 2020, so what, 2016, 17, 18, 19, that type of thing. Still, I mean, like, could you still like get a letter in bass fishing in Illinois high school fishing, like a letter jacket with the bass fishing, and they treated it like a high school sport and stuff? I know that in Illinois that it's the one of the most, had been, and kind of the first really well organized, accepted, represented high school sport across the country. And it's since gone, Texas and other states. But
well, it's unbelievable if you think about it. That, I mean, I'm pretty sure Terry started it in Central Illinois, which, like we just talked about, it's like the least amount of fisheries, but somehow they put together one of the better early on programs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Terry actually ran my sectional.
Okay.
I won it on Evergreen my senior year, and he was there and handed the trophy. And I didn't know him super well, but I knew, he was pretty influential in the industry, and I knew he started all that. So it was kind of cool to be there for that. But yeah, it was a good program. I got super lucky. Like I said, I was athletic in high school and stuff, and I wanted to end up going to play football somewhere. I wasn't going to get any crazy scholarships, but we had some little, we were a little Catholic school, and we had some local Illinois schools like D2 stuff that they would just reach out to the program and could go there. And that was kind of my goal once I heard they did that. And I just got super fortunate. We had this guy called Ron Rolling. He ended up being my coach, and he just volunteered, which, I mean, looking back, I don't know. He was in and out of it, but it just happened to line up where when I was there. And he fished Redmans, BFLs, all kinds of stuff. And he was awesome. I mean, he showed me, like, there's a handful of things I do every tournament that he instilled in me, like plugging in the boat as soon as you get home, getting gas I'm serious though. Like, and getting gas every night. Like I never get gas in the morning because he was just like, don't do that. That's how you're late. It's like, yeah, I mean, I sleep in. So he's right. So it carried over and he was awesome. And he ended up going to Pickwick with us that time and he fished all the in-state stuff. And he just really like said, hey, come on out, hop into my bass boat and drive it. Like first time I saw a bass boat, he's like, all right, drive it. I was like, drive it? How do you drive one of these things? He's like, you're going to learn. So he was a huge part of just like right place, right time. Someone willing to take some time out of their life who has some knowledge and shares it with someone. And like I said, it kind of funneled me out of football. I had some injuries and stuff, and I loved fishing, and I learned about the competitive space, and it just went from there. So it was a lot of right place, right time stuff for me.
And then you fish for Auburn.
Yeah. So that's a whole other. I have ADHD. So like with these stories, probably specify how much detail you want.
I have ADHD too, but yeah. I ask you about Auburn because another historic college fishery, Bethel, Montevallo, DBU back in that time frame, Auburn, but you went to Auburn during a very unique time, not only in the world, not only in college fishing, but also weren't you there like right during that whole suspended debacle?
Yeah, we caused it a little bit. Me and my partner and Logan Parks, we went out to Oklahoma and fished on, what's the one below Grand?
Fort Gibson.
We went to Gibson and Logan made a post and we didn't know we were off limits. And that's when someone in the board at Auburn saw those posts we made. And that's the crackdown. And early in the talks, they were having meetings, and they're like, "These 3 anglers got caught," and our names were thrown around. It's like,
it was a thing like club sports. You weren't supposed to be doing club sports or something. And it was during the pandemic, and they had shut that down. And then you guys traveled and made a post, which they didn't. And then they hit you with, was it a 2-year ban or a 1-year ban or something? It was like an indefinite ban. Like there's a while there where it was like, Madden, Jordan, Lee, and Logan Parks and Tucker, like that's a weird deal.
Yep. Thank God for Logan is all I'm going to say, because I had the transfer paperwork lined up. I was going to go to Montevallo. I was going to go to UN. I was out of there. And then Logan fought the good fight and got us back on. I was like, all right, I'll stay in Auburn Tiger, I guess. But I wasn't going to go 2 years without tournaments. I couldn't do that.
Was there behind the scenes like a mad dash for the top colleges to kind of, quote, recruit the Auburn guys when it looked like that team was going to disband? Did Montevallo slide into your DMs and be like, hey Connor, heard you might be looking to continue your collegiate fishing elsewhere for the remaining eligibility?
No, they weren't poaching us. I mean, not me specifically. I bet Tucker had some DMs, but I wasn't getting anything like that. I was going to start sending emails, but luckily it didn't come to that. Like I said, Logan, I mean, as you guys have probably seen, he's quite the businessman, and that guy could wheel and deal even when it came to getting us out of trouble at Auburn. So he was a good president to have in that time.
Were you guys freaked out over that? Because I remember I fished for OU, and if that had happened to us, like I know I would have been losing my mind.
Oh yeah, no, that was scary. I'm trying to remember the timelines because me and my partner did win a Bassmaster.
It would have been July 20th through like July 20th of 2020 through like early March of 2021 is when that, because like the suspension was no I got pulled it up. No travel, recruiting, competing, or representing the club in any capacity. Prohibited to even wear the club uniform or represent on social media, YouTube, Twitter, Snapchat, Facebook, or Instagram. Removal of club officers and notification to governing body of the sport and other SEC schools that the club was ineligible for competition during the suspension.
It was pretty intense. They took it very seriously. I don't remember what the threats were, like the ramification. I think it was just disbandment of clubs. I don't think they were going to do anything like eligibility as a student wise, but no, because I hadn't had tournament success. We had some success in college, but that was all leading up to it. That was after my freshman year. So I hadn't really done anything yet. And looking back, thank goodness they did fix that, because we ended up winning a Bassmaster. I believe it wasn't because they had the COVID rescheduled tournaments. I remember those because those were weird. Those were in the fall. We didn't do great that season. Oh, no, that might have been the season we won. Either way, that was all pre-tournament success. So I wasn't super worried about it personally. Like, I guess I was a little confused. Because I was just like, I'm just gonna go somewhere that lets me fish. I don't care. I'll find a way to fish. But like the organization and the guys who were diehard Auburn, because I mean, I came down from Illinois. That was 1 year in, and they kind of plucked me right out of that anyways, like halfway through my freshman year. It was, oh, COVID, go home. So like I wasn't exactly a diehard Auburn fan, so I was a little flexible at that point in time. But no, it was serious. I mean, I think it was a lot of just the bureaucracy there with like the weird who we had to report to, because we got the guy who was in charge of that ended up stepping out, and a new like intermediary position hopped in, and he was much more flexible. Like it was still strict and we had hoops to jump through, but it wasn't like this whole 2-year ban. If you get caught, it's over. It was like, okay, we're gonna help you guys do what you need to do, because that's when other schools started fishing and stuff.
You're throwing some names out. So you had Tucker Smith, Logan Parks. Was that around was Easton Fothergill a young dude in there? Like who, name some of the names that like you fished with and against during that time.
A relevant one as of the last Toyota, Louis Minetti. He won.
Lou Minetti, he did the Bassmaster Classic in like a 1978 cushioned boat with no electronics on it. He just finished second.
Year. Oh, the crazies looking back. See, I wasn't huge on scope in college at all. Like that was kind of like I was out of the bubble on that one. And looking back at the year Lewis won, it's like not only did he do that out of the Ranger, but that was prime. A handful of guys had scope and no one knew about it. So it's like that's even more impressive that he is competing with that caliber of angler, with that caliber of tech that people weren't using. But there was him. Easton was there. I was so bad at like, I kind of was just in my own bubble. Me and my partner, we were kind of antisocial in college. We just showed up, and the viewpoint I had was I'm coming from Illinois and I'm already behind. Like I knew these guys growing up by these lakes, these high school experiences they had. I was like, I'm behind. I need to get better. So my first few years of college, I spent just working as hard as I could to go fishing, and there was like zero networking. I still slow to that side, but so like I don't really remember the talent from my freshman sophomore year, but yeah, towards the end it was Lewis was up there, Easton was starting to come around. You heard his name a bunch. He kind of had his really crazy year, the opens and the qualifying and all. He won everything in college the year after I graduated, but. He was huge. Tristan was like that bubble.
Yep.
Yeah, he was right there where like I remember hearing his name and seeing him at the first few tournaments. Like the first natty I went to was that St. Lawrence one that he lived up there for a month and got to the Classic through that. So a weird little bubble of like some of the like older young guys and then some of the like younger new guys who popped in. I kind of got each snippet of those,
That's good. The other cool thing you got to do is you got to fish in the College Classic, which that's the bracket where they basically you make it with your teammate by winning a tournament or getting into it, but then they pit you against each other potentially. I would imagine, as a college kid going in saying, hey, I'm fishing 4 days against one-on-one, head-to-head, televised, all this stuff. That had to be a pretty cool experience.
I never got the bracket actually because
you didn't get down to
because they changed some rules on that. That was team of the year was an instant buy-in and then top 3 in the natty. So Tucker got that one and Logan. We got to do the College Classic once, which was you win one and then you get to fish as a team against the other guys who all won a tournament that year.
And that was on the Classic stage then they weighed in?
That's probably it, yeah. Which was super cool. There was, less stakes on the line, but it was fun. We got to do it on Kiwi and stuff and fish against Tucker and Logan were there that time too. So it was a cool experience for that.
Probably where I would say your career really started to take off was a decision for you to go to the Bass Nation Regional 2 years ago on Lake Champlain, where they just take an X number of guys and qualify them to the national championship. And I had ran into you a little bit. I knew your boat because we'll dive into that. You've got some badass sponsors. But you made the national championship at Champlain. Had you ever even been to Champlain before? Or was that strictly just, hey, this is a path to the Classic. Let's see if we can make it work.
So yeah, you've definitely heard of him. I don't know if he's ever been on the show, but Sam Hangy, he's an Elite Series pro.
Yep.
I've had some good roommates the last few years. I've had Ryan and Hangy and plenty of other really good roommates too, but like those two specifically have made it to the next level. Well, that one's kind of funny because the only reason I did some nation stuff on like local lakes, I just always wanted to fish tournaments, and like it's kind of hard to find tournaments for some reason these days. Like I moved to Guntersville and it's like I can barely find something to fish every 2 weeks. It's just unbelievable. But I just found some nations to get in. So I had my club membership. And then they started those the like open style of nations.
The regionals where you could, as an at-large bid, just pay your entry fee as long as you were a member of a club. You didn't have to go through the whole rigmarole of the 1.5-year-long state bureaucracy.
Exactly. Yeah, which was awesome, right? That streamlined it for me. And they brought one, this one I was living in Auburn, so they brought one to Lake Eufaula, which was like home lake, but I wasn't super good at it. Well, me, Hangy, and Carson Maddox, another Auburn guy who's really good at fishing, we hopped in that one, and those two, they made it, and I missed it by like a spot. And I was like, okay, I'm not sitting this natty out. So there's an in-between step between that and Champlain. I drove out to the Arkansas River and got my teeth kicked in by you guys and hated it and tried to swim a jig. And I think I drove through the biggest waves I've ever seen, not on a Great Lake, down to the bottom of Kerr.
Yeah, so I say, man, you had to lock through the Kerr. That's the only place you get 5-footers on the Arkansas.
Yep, stuffed about 3 of them, came back in and weighed my 1 bass. And I was even more mad. So I was like, okay, what can I do? Drove up to Champlain and then had a good finish up there. So there was a little, behind the scenes work to get to even, qualifying for that natty. I went to 3 of the 4 tournaments to do it. So like I was trying pretty hard to get there.
Made the national championship on Grand, and I believe that's the one that Mr. Caps won with the blade. But I believe you were leading that derby after 2 days, which would be like automatic berth onto the Elite Series on that final day. It was a brutally tough tournament. It took like 12 and a half pounds a day to win that. But 2024, the end of 2024, what was that tournament a highlight for you because you made the Bassmaster Classic through it? Or was it, oh my God, I was 1 spot from the freaking Elite Series and just needed 1 more bite?
So yes, to both of those. I was so infatuated with qualifying. That's just always been my mentality. So in college, I was trying to learn the process myself. So in college, the smart thing to do looking back would have been hopping in opens and try that. But I always was just like, okay, I'm in college. So the goal through college was to make the Classic. That's what I was trying to do. And because of the fact that if you make the Classic, you win the Classic, you're a pro. So it was always like shortest line to pro. So when I got to that tournament and came a pound short or whatever, it ended up being really close, a bite short. Yeah, it was crushing. But luckily, my bubble, my family, my mom, my girlfriend, they were just like, oh, wow, the Classic, this is awesome. And it was like distracting because looking back, I was kind of mad when they were like, I was like, no, I want to be upset right now. But they're like, you should be happy. And then the more I thought about it, and the more they were just genuinely like, it was a win to them. They showed up there at the weigh-in, and it wasn't this like, oh, you missed it by a pound. It was, oh, he got second. So like looking back, that mindset that they had really was good for me because it did like, there was the twinges of what could have been. But it was also like, look how close you were. I can now yell at everyone I missed it by a spot, which is like, always cool to say, right? Like, oh, I missed making the pro spot by a spot 2 years in a row. So like, okay, that's a plus. Like if you're a spot away a couple of years in a row, you're eventually going to break in. And they were just so positive about it. And it was just such a big win for us as like a group, because my family's always been super supportive of all the stuff and been to all my tournaments. So like it just felt like a win. So it became a win. So I think that one was right there. Like it could have gone either way. And we used it as momentum to do better the next year instead of dwelling.
Because I missed a step in there. You fished the opens, all the opens in 2024 and had a hell of a year. And it came down to the last day there too.
Yeah, I was introduced to Live Scope that year. This is a humbling story, and I do like to tell people this. My first open, and I'm not going to say I came out of college as like a talent, right? But I had one college open. I think my last 3 years of college, or at least 2 years, I finished in the top 10 in Angler of the Year race for Bassmaster. So had some success. First open, zeroed my first day. Like zeroed, not like boat trouble. I couldn't catch a bass. I went to Okeechobee. I fished around 150 guys, and I didn't catch a bass. And I looked around, and they were all looking at this screen on their front deck, and I was throwing a chatterbait. I was like, something's up with that.
And this was the one where Scott set the record with 90 pounds in the same area that you were in.
Watched him.
Yeah, no. So we fished we had to be 100 yards from each other because Scott was right behind me.
Yeah, we were all, we could have cast it in each other's boats.
It was ridiculous.
And I was like, okay, like I was a pretty shallow guy. Like there's a few articles in Bassmaster written about me and my partner. Like these guys are like Chase Sansom. He saw us. We broke down in the middle. like the middle of Norman, a very scopeable lake. And he said, I saw those guys in the middle and I knew something was wrong and I pulled up on them. And there was something wrong. We were out of gas. Like we didn't fish in the middle. So like I was not like I hated it, but it just wasn't what I did. I came from Illinois and my teeth got kicked in at Okeechobee. And I, started putting the puzzle together. That's when scope was still like kind of the sneaky thing where people were like, they talked about it a little bit, but like a lot of tournaments were still being won without it and everything. And I said, okay, I'm going to, which is everyone, my family was really upset, but I said, I don't care if I lose my entry fee. This year is to get better at scope now. Like I realized it's too late, should have done it in college, but this year is to get better at scope. And that's another thing that championship and the qualifier I was proud of, because I went to a Ouachita after Okeechobee and I was shaking a minnow over 70 foot. And I was so confused. I had a bad tournament. I had like 100th, I'm trying to learn scope. And then it slowly got better and better. And I learned how to bed scope that year. And like, it was just really I'm going to find a scope pattern. And this was before like I knew that was going to be successful. It was just, I'm going to learn it. And then that grand tournament, it was a very scope heavy tournament for me. And Champlain was really my first minnow tournament I saw success in. So like, it was kind of, to me, a culmination of like, look, I learned this new thing that I dedicated my year to, and I got somewhere off of it. So it was just kind of like motivation to keep pushing, get better at that from there.
So, I mean, you're obviously rolling in the opens. You had the classic, which I would imagine also that was the Fort Worth Classic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you don't know what the expo looked like because you made the final day cut.
Thank God, by spot. We squeaked in there. We were bubble boy at the Classic.
Little bit different vibe from the College Classic where you got to go up on stage to be enrolled in on day 3 of the Classic.
Yeah.
The Classic.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I was very nervous to talk up there, number one. And I was just, the first day I did okay. Day 2 was fine. Like it's big lights, big arena. Day 3, I mean, you know how it is when you're like, they're asking you questions and you're doing math while you're trying to answer. And you're just like, yeah, it's cool to be here. That was kind of me on the last day. I was like so scared I was going to miss the cut or whatever. And like trying to get my thank yous in because like, you're the bubble guy. Like you have to thank your sponsors now or never. And it was cool though. That was like the most nervous. Well, the nation going into the last day was probably the most nervous I ever will be in a tournament just because like qualifying meant so much to me. But that's probably the most like nervous moment of just like, I hope I make it. Cause like, I really wanted to fish that last day. So it was, that was quite the way. And like, that one was just like a fever dream that last day. Cause like, it just, looking at weights, my mom's texting me like, I think Patrick Walters didn't catch him. And I was like, he's lying. He's always lying. And then he had like 24 pounds or whatever and bumped me down. It was, that was quite the experience. So just making it by the last spot in that day.
So in between all this, and mind you, like we're kind of doing the little chronological deal, but this is all like what we just talked about was like a year and a half from we're 2 years removed, the college stuff, then the opens, the B.A.S.S. like this is very condensed. This isn't like over a 5-year period. This is like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Yeah. In the middle of that, you fish everything. You fish the opens, the nation, BFLs, Toyotas, the whole 9 yards. Going into this year, you decide to jump into the pro circuit. $5,000 entry fee, 6 more additional tournaments. You're still fishing Division 1 of the Bassmaster Opens. That's a lot of freaking driving as well. Yeah. What was the decision to jump into the pro circuit in 26 and not just focus on that classic or the Elite Series side?
So, circling back to the whole trend of this, like college, it was just fish as much as I could. I think we had fished like 23, college-esque tournaments, not counting little ones in a season, like a fall season or something. It was like we did one back-to-back tournament. We did a Dardanelle, drove to Illinois and fished a qualifier the next day. It's like 3 days in a row. So I've just always felt more comfortable. I mean, it's probably, like I said, ADHD / like it's just a habit at this point. I hate being home. I really do. Like I live 5 minutes from Guntersville now and I still hate being home. I get home, I just like can't sleep, whatever. As soon as I hit an Airbnb, I'm out. So I'm like, okay, what can I fill my schedule with? And what's going to be the most beneficial? I've become quite the like, not stats guy, but like I like to try to base my decisions off of probabilities now, like ballpark probabilities, of course. I'm making them all up. But it was just the next thing that made sense. Like, okay, I want to be a professional. I've gone back and forth. Like, I loved FLW, loved them. That was like where I wanted to be. And then the MLF merger happened. And then I was like, I don't like MLF. They bought my favorite company. And I fished Bass for a while. Loved Bass too. Great events. And then I kind of got back into MLF with the Toyotas. And I was like, oh, these are still great. So it was just another chance to be a pro. And honestly, I mean, I don't love how the EQs are formatted now with the 3. I mean, it is what it is. And like, talent still makes it. But I had a bad experience last year at Wheeler, and it really derailed my season. And it was like, a 46th or something. Like, it wasn't like a bomb, but it was still just enough to be like, okay, I really don't feel comfortable wasting. I mean, wasting's relative. Okay, I'm not calling it for that for everyone who's doing it, because it's not. It's very productive. But like, this little gap of the season before they wiped the points just felt very like I could be throwing away some good tournaments, right? Like, ideally, I kind of went with the headspace. Like, I want to get 40ths and not barely make the EQs, but like, I don't want to be leading the points going to the EQs because they're going to take them away.
Oh, that was my strategy this year. Yeah. I was so strategy that I said, you know what? I don't even want to finish in the top 50. Let's make it through the double qualifiers.
I think that's the best way to do it right there. Exactly. Risky. Good idea. And no, that's kind of how I felt. So I was like, okay, like, let's do something to start. If I start strong, to keep that motivation rolling and have just double chance to become a pro, because that's what I want to do. I want to fish professionally somewhere. And I'm happy with both organizations, and the scope rules are kind of all over the board right now and changing. So like, it's like, if one was full scope, I'd probably lean for that. But I've really enjoyed learning some new formats. Like, I've caught way too many big fish this year chucking a mag draft blind. Like, just one here or there. But like, it's been cool to experience some of that and get back to learning new stuff. So like, it was just that, a learning experience and a chance to become a professional. And I've been very happy with that decision right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. 4 out of the 6 you top 20'd in. Made the championship, $65,000 in earnings, and you were always right there in it. You go into Champlain, 13th on Lake Champlain, one of the most consistent performances, 19-1, 19-10, 19-1, and then they hand you a little card that says, congratulations, you're on it. Now, the BPT is arguably difficult to stay on, difficult to make now. It's only 50. They just went to that the past year, and so you qualified for the BPT, which, I mean, if your goal is to fish at the top level, you've got the Elite Series and the BPT there, so mission accomplished.
Yeah, that was it. I just really wanted to qualify. I mean, it's funny, if you look back at Jody's it was like maybe the second tournament of the year, because me and Ryan had good tournaments, and it was like the top 5 in AOI. He's like, what are your goals for the season? I think it's when I was ahead of Ryan. And I kind of jokingly go, to beat my roommate Ryan, and then qualify. And he's like, in that order? And I was like, yeah, in that order. And like, me and Ryan, we info share like crazy. We really help each other. But like, if he won Rookie of the Year. I got second. Like, if I beat him, I qualified. It's just how it worked. So like, that was kind of the mindset this year. It was to have fun, just like friendly competition. But it was also just like, around good people and just try to make it and see what we can do. Which, like, side note, I know you don't want to do a deep dive, but as far as like a consistent qualifying season, you mentioned how consistent that last one was. I needed that for my soul, because the rest of the year, if you ever get bored and want to see the craziest like Hail Marys, this season was just unbelievable. The amount of points that I made up on day 2s and 3s are astronomical. I mean, Santee Cooper, I thought I threw my season away. I had 2 bass. Second year in a row I did this. 2 bass on day 1. And it was 2 for 4. They were babies. And then, bottom last. And then I caught 24 pounds on the second day, and I missed a check by 1 spot. I did that in the Open the year before out there for some reason. I do that. But like, it was just such like consistent on paper. But gosh, there was so many days where it was like, I mean, I tried.
You did it on the Harris chain. You slid in. You went 11 pounds, 10 pounds, then 20 pounds to jump up to 4th. Then you went 4 pounds, 24 pounds. Then you went on Wheeler, 15 pounds, 20 pounds. And on Douglas, Douglas, that's a big sack. 14-3 on the second day to jump back in.
That saved me there.
You only had one day 2 out of your entire season that wasn't better than your day 1, and that was on Eufaula, and you backed that up with 19-2 or 19-2 on the final day to jump into the top 10.
No, it was a scary season. Like one day made my season.
Did you make different? Was it strategy changes or was it big bites?
So yeah, both of them for sure. Like I'm not gonna, dude. I can ramble, but I'll give you 2 highlights really quick that were just the coolest thing ever. So day 2, I cried. Grown man cried at Wheeler. Came in with 14 pounds. And I was crying, like almost bawling, because I thought I threw my season away. Like I'm so traumatized, dude. Like the EQs last year.
That's only
Oh my god, I'm a ruined man from that. But I was literally crying a little bit, like tearing up. Like I can't go across stage. I'm gonna break down crying because I thought I was looking at B.A.S.S or the tracker, and it was way back there. And day 2. Go out after that. I'm not great position. I'm like 50th. So I have to catch him. I'm trolling across the stump flat on 10 with my Quest, and I got a big boat now. Just tee up a stump, snap my shaft in half. I'm like, oh my god. Go back to the service guys. They're like, yeah, we can't fix it. We don't have a Minn Kota guy. I hit it, and the shaft is flopping. I take electrical tape, pull it up, put it inside. Like it's leaking water and everything. I know it's falling apart. Pull it up into the housing, tape it up, and I'm scoping. And I get I'm like, I got to scope now. I only have 3 hours and my trolling motor's going to die. Like if I can catch him now. And I'm trolling from stump to stump, and the deucer's coming out of the water on the way to the stump. And I'll like have to stop and sit down and see the stump, troll up, like, and I ended up catching like 3 doing that. Trolling motor's dying, run up the river, catch a 4-pounder that's like lassoed with a jerkbait. Unbelievable. And then I'm throwing a mag draft on a bluff hole on a 6-pounder. And I have 20 pounds with the trolling motor's totaled that day. I was like, unbelievable. And Eufaula the same way, like it's having a decent event, but then I found a floating school of freaks just chasing bait. They'd go back to a point. I catch a 5 on a koiki, throw back in there with a little koiki, catch a 4. I'm like, you know what? Let's get crazy. Throw a flutter spoon in there, 4.5. I haven't caught a bass on a flutter spoon since high school. Like it was a year of just the most random decisions of like, good decisions, but like very interesting decisions on my end that just worked out with a big one. So it was probably strategy based, but like they were long shots. And I just hit like 3 of them. So that's what saved my year.
Wow. We were talking with BPT qualified angler Connor Jacob, but we haven't gotten to the second half of this story, which is you've still have some potential catching left in the 2026 season, which just not put the cart ahead of the horse here, but it looked like a Dylan Nutt situation maybe coming into this, and then he ended up finishing 10th, so he didn't have to determine between the BPT and the Elite Series. We're not there yet, potentially could be there, so we're going to take our first break of the show. When we come back, we'll dive into what you have left on the schedule, which is minimum 4 tournaments. And we'll talk about that when you come back. Connor Jacob, BTL on Wednesday in August. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from B.A.S.S. Feel the rush.
At Beatdown Outdoors, we know you depend on your gear to hold up in any condition. We built for that. We test for that. In fact, we pride ourselves in that. Because we know when the time comes to test your gear, you aren't going to take it easy, so we won't. We build premium, made-in-the-USA products that you can rely on in the moments when your equipment should be the last thing on your mind.
Your early morning mentality? is your every hour mentality. All gas, no brakes. Focus, purpose, power. Destined for the water, but confident everywhere else. A calming buzz before the storm, truth of nature itself. You can't catch lightning in a bottle. There's a limit out there, but it's not with your gear. Unrelenting power delivery. Unparalleled weight savings. Keeping you on the water, whether you run a 9.9 or outscoping your best 5. In this rare air, there's power in the silence. It's a mindset, thinking only of the things that matter and freeing your mind from the things that you trust.
Before there were hashtags, there were handshakes and shared stories. They gave us confidence to make our first cast, to chase our dreams. They taught us to fish, and in the process, taught us about life. They taught us that success isn't just about reaching the top. It's about lifting others up. The future isn't just about selling tackle. It's about 3 simple words. Let's go fishing. Here's to the original influencers.
All right, welcome back, BTL on a Wednesday. Connor Jacob, fresh off qualifying for the Bass Pro Tour through the Pro Circuit. Last one, they're on Lake Champlain. Finished 4th in the Angler of the Year, which is also an interesting number because you're currently 4th in Division 1 of the Bassmaster Opens, where the top 50 are locked into the EQs, which are in Norfolk on Arkansas in September, Toledo Bend in October, and Gunnersville in November. Bassmaster's going to flip a coin to determine which are scope and which are not. I thought the coin flip was hokey as hell. I dig it now, dude. Like, I'm all about the coin flip. I'm like, it's frickin' bass fishing. We're a niche sport. Like, let's do it. Let's flip a damn coin.
Do something crazy. Yeah, I'm coming around to all the scope stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm still pro scope, but like, it's been fun to do some other stuff. I've learned and caught some fish that I never would have. So like, I have trouble saying anything bad against anything because like, it's kind of cool how some of it's turned out.
It's just a coin flip is going to drastically determine how the EQs, and I say the EQs, and we can talk about it because as long as you show up to Buffalo, I don't even know if you even have to weigh a fish, but as long as you show up to Buffalo and catch a fish, you're locked into the EQs because you're 4th overall in those points. Like, it's, what are the actual points here?
I haven't looked at those too close.
538. It's going to go down to probably 56, 57, 415, 515. You got to catch a couple fish, but as long as you catch a couple fish, couple brown fish or green fish or whatever color, as long as they're can go across the scales, you're locked into the EQs.
Yeah, that's I mean, that one's kind of like, I get to actually try to win a tournament this year now, so that's kind of cool. I'm not saying I'm going to do anything different or crazy, but I don't have to fish for 20th, which is going to be nice.
Yeah, and an outside shot of winning the Angler of the Year. Cody Stahl has 557. Bryson Osteen, 552. Caden Buckman. I think that's how you say his last name. Buckman? You know him?
I don't know
him. 544. And then you, and then you got a veteran. You got a veteran nipping at your heels in David Williams. You better,
dude. I hope they're not eating a Slim Jig.
That's about what I was going to say, but I didn't know about no info rules on that stuff. If those smallies are chomping on a Swim Jig, you ain't winning Angler of the Year. David Williams has that.
That's just
and then the beard. If you see this beard in person, Dylan Farlado.
Yeah, I didn't know he was doing that good this year. That guy's
or
good.
Falardo. It's Falardo. I call him Farlado, and I've gotten so many emails about it. Falardo, I need to get him on the show.
He's good. I don't know well, but
yeah, like I would love to see a comparison of Paul Elias's 1982 Bassmaster Classic Neil and Reel beard and Dylan's beard combined. I think if you just took a lower face shot of those two beards, they would be indistinguishable.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, there's a bunch of guys there. You got Daryl then in 7th under that, and then the Scope Goat in 8th. We're gonna have to deal with the Scope Goat and the EQs.
He had some good events on the other side too. He is a problem on the MLF side this year.
Dude, that is so. He had some motor issues at the Eufaula, Oklahoma one, so he ended up borrowing my cat for that event. Yeah, which was actually good because I don't think I'd had that thing spick and span in like a year and a half, and I had over 10,000 waypoints and trails in there, so I had to like clean it all out. You know what I mean? Like, delete everything, clean everything out. So it was like, oh, when I get it back, I was like, oh, my unit works fast now, and I gained 3 miles an hour. But for like a 20-year-old, like just picking up and dropping off the boat and stuff with him, that dude has ice water in his veins. Like nothing bugs him. When I was 19 or 20, if I was competing to try to qualify for the championship and all that and shit hit the fan, that would have been a disaster. He's just like, oh yeah, whatever. Thanks, dude. I'll pick it up, whatever, everything. I'm like, how are you so chill, bro?
Yeah. No, I like I said, there's a lot of those guys who I would like to talk to more because they seem cool. I just never really had the opportunity to talk to him. He's one of them. Like he always caught him. He's just always just chilling. You see him like relaxed. Like, oh
yeah. You follow him on Instagram where he always posts his envelope. Like every week he's winning like some major open. And then like most of the weeks he's like double dipped this week. So he'd like weigh his fish in 2 different ones, win like $7,000 a weekend in Florida.
Yeah. Like, dude, where are those tournaments at? I need to move there. I moved to Guntersville to do that. And I get in like I get in a Tuesday night.
Dude, there's gotta be tons of tournaments there on the TVA.
I mean, okay. There's a lot
between like Wheeler and Pickwick, and
there's a lot of no pro stuff. And for some reason they considered me a pro before my little ticket got to me. Like they see a wrap boat and they're like, you can't fish here. Like they'll run you out. And
really,
dude, the tournaments get nothing. There's a Tuesday nighter, and like the Tuesday nighter is pretty renowned on Guntersville. They have the Tuesday nighter out all red. I moved 5 minutes from there. They just haven't been running it. I won the last one we fished. Luckily, we got lucky. My buddy caught a 7 dragging, but I mean, it's like you show up and there's 8 boats. It's crazy. I mean, that's why I came here. I the whole goal was to get here, get to a tournament lake, and I don't know if it's just in a weird limbo, like how the industry is with scope right now, and they're all fighting and like,
but around there's hundreds of guys who are top-notch scopers you think would be showing up.
So there was a tournament. There was a no pro tournament, 3 fish.
What do they consider a pro? Like if you paid more than 5,000 in entry fees, or pro circuit and above, or
yeah, it's the entry fee thing. I think is the one they go with. Yeah. I tried to show up to an ABA. An ABA. That's it. And I had fished a bunch of those in the past, and they instituted a new no pro rule, and they're like, have you fished any Toyotas? I was like, no. And they're like, have you fished any opens? And I was like, a couple. Yeah. No, you can't fish. I've driven to the first weekend I lived here. I drove to 3 boat ramps, and I got turned away from 3 tournaments. And I did it again, right before I left for Champlain. I was like, I want to fish a derby. Woke up on Saturday, drove to 3 boat ramps, got turned away from 2 tournaments.
Like nicely, or they're just like, sorry.
Oh, they're nice. They're nice. They're not rude about it. Like, I mean, like I said, I get it. There's Tucker, Hayden. Countless Obar. Like, there's so many guys here. Wall. Yeah, Wall. There's so many guys who just have been taking money out here.
Lucas.
Like, I do understand. Yeah, it just, the list goes on. I'm kind of late to the party, right? With a wrap boat. Like, hi guys, let me feel like, I promise you're gonna beat me a good bit of the time.
Stalls, man.
Mm-hmm. So it's gotten hard to find one. But that little no pro tournament, I was like, it's a Saturday tournament. It'll have 50 boats. That's a great turnout. It was a good payout. It was like 10 grand. Like 150 guys showed up. It's like, dude, where are you guys in anything? They'll have like, spear points and some cool tournaments. They'll have 20 boats in them. You get to win a 20 boat tournament, which is awesome. Like the talent's good. You still have to smash them. You got to catch like 28 pounds half the time. But like, it's very odd. That's circling back to your whole point with Scope Goat catching them in Florida. I'm like, dude, just find me some tournaments like that. I just want to fish them.
Yeah, Cranford, who's on the Elite Series now, had a couple instances like that in Oklahoma, and one of them, it just happened. It was literally where they were like, hey, you just win too much. Like they didn't even install like a no pro rule or anything like that. Like I would have thought the smart thing would be like, hey, we're instituting if you've paid over $1,500 for an entry fee over the past 2 years.
Yeah, make it
You
pretty.
are ineligible. And then you've been like, oh, damn, I made the EQs. And that they were just like, in a very nice way, I guess. It is very generic. We're just like, yeah, man, you've won like 6 in a row. And like, guys aren't really digging that. So we're just, we've got a couple opens. You're welcome to fish those. But like, don't show up next week.
No, that's okay.
It's like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, thanks. I guess thanks for being honest, but
I don't know.
I always wondered what's the refractory period. Like if I wait, because I did that here. There was one, and I fished with a guy last year, Briar Chambers. He's amazing at school fishing out here. So like they know him, and like he can weasel us into some tournaments because he's a talker. And they let us fish a couple, but like it got the last one. They're like, all right, now like thanks for
okay. So like Kevin's retired. I mean, he's got 4 classics under his belt and 7 angler of the years. But let's say he hasn't paid an entry fee in a couple years, and Kevin wants to come jump in a couple derbies. Are they going to be like, "Hey, we got a no pro rule," or are they going to go, "Well, the guy hasn't paid an entry fee in 2 years. He's retired. He's no longer a pro. Hop in, Kevin."
That's the fine print confused me because, like I said, we won like 2 of them, and then we had a good showing in the last one, but like it wasn't anything crazy. And then they were kind of like, "Thanks for fishing us with us this year." And I was like, "Wait a minute! Like, there's still much tournaments left."
I have an open invite, not in a antagonistic way, for any tournament director or local regional tournament angler to come on and explain the side of not allowing professional anglers, quote unquote, because like an opens guy is not a professional angler. I'm sorry. Is not Toyota's guy is not a professional angler. Like to me, it would be BPT and Bassmaster Elite Series guys are the ones if you want to do it. But to have a tournament director, someone to come on and actually like I'm open to explain and be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I understand why you implemented that rule, why you didn't, or I understand why you're an angler who doesn't want to fish against higher competition to come on the show and would love to do a show on that. So if you are in that position and would like to talk about that, Matt at BassZone.com, we can get that scheduled and on the books.
No, yeah, exactly what you just said though. Like I do see some validity to it. I'm not saying like my qualm with it, it's not that I get the concept, right? Like, some guys have full-time jobs and, like, especially with scope and everything, they just kind of want to go out and go fishing. But it's gotten to the point where I get the logic. It's just kind of getting excessive, in my opinion. Like, I understand even a 50-50 split. Like, okay, you guys who are considered pros, you can do it half the time, right? Like, yeah, you hear the rec league comparison all the time. Like, Kobe never showed up to the gym and one.
Yeah, but if he did, everyone would be like, "Oh my God, come on!"
They like it, and number 2, I need the money, so I'm not Kobe. Let me fish the tournament, please. And so I get it, but the ABAs really surprised me because I fished some ABAs. They had the Open Series or something, and they're super cool. They gave those Eagle trophies; they're awesome. And I fished 2, and I got second in a couple of them. And Banks whooped me in one of them. It was like my biggest bag. I went to Chick. I caught 30 a day, average 30 pounds a day, and he still beat me. He had like 32 pounds a day. And it was cool. Like, there's some of my better tournament memories. And I asked him, I was like, "Do you guys, is that a no pro to your opens level?" And they're like, "Yeah." It's like, okay, I get it. There are organizations like you're trying to make a platform for people who are casual fishermen, right? Want to do tournaments on the side, but like, it's almost cutting into the platform for guys who are trying to do it for a living. Like, yeah, we have the opens, we have the Toyotas. I get that. But like, it's really dwindling with smaller stuff to do casually at home now here on Guntersville, definitely. I can't.
You think that's all scope related? Like, if let's say the same guys who are fishing at the same level are winning the same amount, coming in with the same bags, but they're doing it punching grass, throwing swim baits, top watering, deep cranking, spooning, hair jigging. Scope has never entered the equation. Do you think that this is a direct scope related result as a guy drives past someone who is scoping, comes in and says, "Well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to compete against that." And therefore that, like, I'm just saying, put the exact same ecosphere system in place right now, take out the electronics. Do you still think there's the same level of, hey, no pros? Or do you think it's, hey, we need to get better to just beat these guys at our own game?
I think it's dialed back. I mean, I can even speak to being on that side. Like in college, there was a group of guys who knew about scope and I didn't. And it's like I saw it firsthand, right? Like Tucker was just obviously, him and Logan, they were just taking money with it, and they were good at keeping it on the down low. It's like, Tucker, what are you doing in the middle of the lake? Like, oh, I caught my 20-pound swimming and jig in the morning, and we are just looking around out there. Like, dang, that's 8th tournament in a row. It's crazy, dude. I got to find your swim jig holes. And then finally you learn, like, okay, they were catching them out there. I think it was. I knew a lot of guys back then when it wasn't scope. When it was this mystery, right? The ambiguity of fishing. Mm-hmm. You go out and you don't know, like they might whoop you every week, but you don't know how. So like there's always that like little bit of hope that like this is the week. I'm gonna figure that out.
Yeah.
And it's funny, it's like you yearn for the knowledge to know how to do it. But a lot of people, once they learn, oh, that's what it is, they're like, oh, actually, I don't like that. So I think that's it. I think if like you said, you just listed a hodgepodge of different things. And like, even if it's the same guys winning every time, I think everyone shows up to the ramp like, this is my week to catch him on a hair jig. Mm-hmm. I think once it's like someone who hates grass flipping on a grass flip, like if grass flipping were to be the, single thing.
You're eventually just going to stop showing up if that's not what you want to do.
It just gets easy to say, I don't want to do that. So like, I think scope did cause it, but just because of the one dimension, like, I don't think scope is one-dimensional, but I think people who don't necessarily know a ton about scope view it extremely one-dimensional, and it's easy to write something off when it's one-dimensional. It's easy to say, I don't like that, I'm out of here, versus like, okay, maybe I can learn a little bit about this big, broad picture of learn Gunnersville, right? That's easier. For some reason, it's a harder, more daunting concept, but it seems more achievable than like I have to master this one specific technology that's winning everything, right? That seems like a mountain climb.
Yeah, and I say that I also need to throw in like, I mean, we fish Wednesday and Thursday nighters around here, and like the highlight of my week is when I know I'm home and Cranford and I go out to the Shawnee Twin Lakes and fish the Thursday night jackpot, and guys are super freaking chill out there. Absolutely love that. I mean, like they'll come up and talk to Cranford about, hey, I watched your video on the Elite Series on this, and that was a hell of a comeback on day 2, and ask, talk about BTL guests and stuff like that. And it's like I feel like zero animosity out there on that too.
Awesome. And it's like what you said. I want to fish.
It's just a few select things where it's just like
bad people. I have no like I said, the ABA guys are awesome to me. They're just like, dude, like you paid too much in entry. It's the rule. And
but like, mentality wise, like when I showed up back in the day at 10 Killer to fish a winter jackpot and Jason Christie was there, like I was more excited to jump in that and see like how close you could get to him and what it was, because you knew that like that's the litmus test. Like you could catch him, but you're always trying to do that. Or like, I mean, even like the Thunderbird jackpots back in the Hughes and McClure, like, they're going to win 15 or 20 of them, but you still show up.
You
like, you take a second or a third 6 weeks in a row, and then you get them that one time, and it was worth all the ass kickings.
Yeah, I don't know. It's my sponsor, as you mentioned. I've got Busch Light as a sponsor, and there's a distributorship back there. And Busch Light, AB, and Anheuser-Busch, they were like I was with them during that Bud Light controversy, and it's like it's kind of just across the board. Like I'm always discussing it with them, and they have a ton of parallels between that and scope, and they're like, yes. There's some stuff that happened, right, wrong, or indifferent. But we just in such a like, it just seems like currently, if you don't like something, it just has become a full blown, like just protest witch hunt type deal. And I think that's carried over into fishing. It's like that's what the scope's become. It's and beyond just scope, it's trickled down to like, I don't like losing at Tuesday nighters. Let's find a way to make this change the rules. It's a lot of like change the rules stuff has happened where I feel like people were a little more casual with the, the rules are the rules and like we can tweak them, but like these are the rules we play. And now it's like if I'm losing, or not even losing, but if I'm uncomfortable doing this in this style, like let's change it. I don't want to do it this way.
Mm-hmm. How old are you now?
I'm 25 right now.
So you're a 25-year-old. You just qualified for the top level of professional fishing, and you've got a Busch light camo wrap, and you live 5 minutes from Gunnersville.
Yeah.
That's like, I mean, some would consider that living the dream, Connor.
Oh, I consider it living the dream. I mean, there's some things I'm working on, but I'm very happy with it. I mean, it's, like I said, could use a little more money and don't love the house I'm in right now, but I have no complaints. I do like that camo. Like, honestly, what's the opinion on the camo?
I love the camo.
Okay. My mom designed that for me.
I love that. What's the name of that camo? It's like what all of the, like AFCO came out with, like some of that lighter colored camo.
Yeah. I kind of like
it's not tactical. I don't know what the name of it is. It's like trendy camo.
I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard people call it cartoon camo. Bubble camo was kind of like the one they went with. And there's like a type of camo that I've had all the discussions about this. There's like a type of World War II camo that kind of looked like that people claim it is. That one we took directly. So I worked with the distributorship and we took that off of like the packaging for that Bush Light packaging they did for a little limit.
Oh, wasn't it kind of orange in theirs?
Yep, they did some orange ones. I think, we might have tweaked the colors, but I liked that bubble. I never really liked the straight camo, so I like to ask people because I think I'm going to stick with that camo. It seems pretty, identifiable with my image and brand at this point. So I liked it. I think it turned out great. I just haven't tweaked it in 2 years. And that wrap originally was on an era at the beginning of the year. And then I ended up, sinking that boat in Okeechobee a little bit. And I had to rewrap that. And so like the spacing's a little off on that one, but hopefully we got a Bass Cat wrapped in it next year and it fits a little better.
What are you running next year? Do you know?
I haven't decided yet. I work with Bucks Island and I love Bass Cat. I mean, that's who, like, I wanted to be in a cat. I had a cat.
Is Dan O'Sullivan there?
Yeah, Dano's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Dano started with Bass Zone in 2010. Like he was a boat driver at the Delta and Clear Lake then, and then was writing, kind of came on board, then started Advanced Angler. He's actually at my wedding last October.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've known Dano forever. They helped hook me up in Alabama a number of years ago, 2020, 2021, when I blew a hole through my side of my lower unit and then lost a shift actuator the day after it got fixed.
Yep. Yeah, no, Dano's great. He tried to help out. I wanted to get in. So it was just horrible situation wise. Like I ended up hitting something in my cat right before I went to Okeechobee for the dual threat. I ripped a big hole in the glass. Didn't notice it. Didn't know it happened. So I kind of like saw it going into the dual threat and was like, oh God, I see fiberglass under there. Like I think it was a rock. It could have been a stump. I don't know. I just, I hit a lot of stuff. And I tried to ignore it. It was like, let's get through this tournament. And this is like a triple header. I just try to ignore it, pretend it doesn't exist.
A hole in the bottom.
It's gotten me far. It's gotten me further than it should have, but not this time. And I hopped in that dual threat and I'm running across Okeechobee and my boat starts filling up while I'm driving. And I'm like, rut-row. And long story short, like, the fiberglass that was exposed got water through it and like, shouldn't have ignored it.
Good thing you guys made all that money in that tournament so you could afford to fix it.
Dude, don't worry. I had like 4 for 8 that I threw back. I'm not going to make it in. Whoopsies. And that was before it all fell apart. But that was 2 days or 3 days before my open. And then that was 3 days out from my first MLF of the year. So like everything started. Panicked, freaked out. Dano was, great. Swung my Bucks. I drove from Florida to Bucks Island. They were going to get me in a Bass Cat. And I was like, dude, I want to be in a Bass Cat. Like, I really do. Stick with it. But, like, it just didn't line up. They just didn't have the battery set up, the graph. Like, we couldn't put together a boat fast enough. It was literally like, I need it tomorrow. I need to go down. And it just didn't line up. So, Drew Gill, who I knew to meeting Drew Gill. Like, we're rooming together next year. And Ryan's really good buddies with him. But, like, I didn't know him super well at this time. And I'm like, Ryan's like, dude, he's selling his boat like it's your best chance. So I buy that boat, drive up to Illinois, and it's like in that like winter blizzard or whatever. Like, just stay off the roads. Tennessee's gonna freeze over. And I drive up to Illinois, buy Drew's boat, rig it in his boat barn while like his dad or his mom's a CPA. So like they're doing the paperwork. I'm just like, take my money, like find a way to get
this makes a lot more sense now. I was unaware of that.
Yeah.
That's why Drew is like he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Very practical.
And I rig that boat in that shed, get it done. And then I drive straight back to Florida and make it for the first day of practice for the Open. So, like, that was a nightmare to get the season started off, too, this year. And that's why I ended up running that Triton, because Bucks Island doesn't sell Tritons, which I love the Triton, but like I miss my Bass Cat.
Dude, I'm actually headed up to the Bass tank after this to get the Puma unrigged. Like I've got 2 black boxes and all that stuff in there. And then the new Lynx I pick up the new Lynx next week.
Oh, you're early on this stuff.
Yeah, I'm like super pumped.
That's awesome.
Like I've been watching this commercial like 3-4 times over again. Like just on repeat.
Oh yeah.
The new seats. And I put a show on this one too, so it's a Lynx Yamaha combo.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm excited for the boat design phase. Like I said, I'm not set in stone with anything quite yet, but it's early. I'm glad I qualified early and didn't have to wait till, November, because then like you can barely get a boat in time half the time.
So you qualify for the BPT. Let's hypothesize if your trajectory keeps going, and you were really just one bad day away from being in the EQs last year. What is that going to be a soul searching decision between the BPT and the Elite Series?
I mean, I don't know what the rules are. I've heard some, like Ryan was telling me, because Ryan was going to do them, saying some stuff about maybe having to commit to the Bass Pro Tour before the season ends. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
So MLF hasn't given you at this time, as a qualified angler, MLF has not given you a deadline. Hey, we need this by now, right now. You have to make this decision, which I would assume would be before the middle of November, which is when the last EQ is on Guntersville.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't check my email as much as I should, which is something horrible to say right now after just qualifying. But I'm pretty sure they haven't. I've loosely perused it. But they did send me a text with some no info stuff, like introducing me to the tournament director, like, hey, this is what's up. Like, don't listen to anything about the lakes, right? You're off limits. Mm-hmm. So there's a little stuff going on. Ryan's been reading some rules. Like I said, I kind of just jumped into it. I was like, I'm qualified now to Pickwick. And I tried to scan up some schools, forgot it's August and everything dies in Alabama in August. I was up north and I thought it was still summertime. So that was a wasted pre-practice. And then I came home and then I'm going to the Pasco tank. So like, as of now, I'm extremely committed to the Bass Pro Tour. Like I'm pre-practicing events for next year. So I'd say confidently that's what I want to do. I don't know how the whole spot, if I could fish both, I want to be the marathon man. Like I want to do everything,
mm-hmm.
But I'm going to read into it and I don't want to eat up someone's spot. I'd feel horrible doing that. But the problem here is I want to fish the Guntersville EQ. I've been living on Guntersville for 2 years. I haven't gotten a chance to fish a big tournament out here. I fished like a Toyota when I first moved here, and they educated me on what you need to catch out here. And I want to fish a big tournament. Scope, no scope, I don't care. I just want a big tournament to fish out here. And Toledo's cool. I've got a tournament there for the Bass Pro Tour next year, so like that'll be a different time of year, but just good to see the lake. The one that scares me is Norfolk, because I'm going to go fish the championship for the pro circuit on Kissimmee. And then the lineup's horrible. Like if I make the last day for that one, I think I have to show up and just fish like no practice on Norfolk, which me and Norfolk don't get along great. Like I kind of have some bad experience out there.
I think we all had a bad experience out there except Casey Scanlon last year.
Yeah,
I got to evacuate from the White River literally at like 11 o'clock at night.
It's horrible. Yeah, I couldn't even get out of town. All the roads flooded. So I just if I had practice for the EQs, like I love the schedule because like I have been to Norfolk, I've been to all those places. Guntersville, super cool to end on. I would like it, but I just with that one kind of me just randomly hopping in it. I think bomb's not the best word, but like I could have a bad one in that one, and like I get that wouldn't be the worst thing ever. Like I would love to be competitive in the points, but like you said, it's kind of headache. Like I have to think about a lot.
What I'm kind of hearing, Connor, is if it comes down to you having to make a decision and just living in this industry, they don't really work compatibility with each other. They're not, sitting down to a steak dinner and saying, hey, let's work around each other's schedules and make sure that the off limits and there's not nothing on top of each other. And if you catch my drift there, if it comes down to, hey, you have to make a decision of either saying no thanks to the BPT and putting deposits down for the EQs and letting go of a sure thing for the chance to fish the EQs and maybe finish in the top 10 in the Angler of the Year and make the Elite Series. If your feet are held to that fire, I'm kind of getting a vibe that we'll see you on the BPT next year.
Yeah, I'm taking the safe bet. I mean, I'm a pro, guaranteed in that one. The other one,
you said it first. Good luck finding a jackpot now.
Yeah, that's all right. They've been claiming it for years now, so
yeah, interesting. Yeah,
lean into it now. But
does it help that you've already fished in a Bassmaster Classic and known what it's like on day 3? And does that make that decision a little bit easier at this time as a 25-year-old?
Yeah, it does. The Classic was cool just to kind of like experience one, I guess. The format change is the weirdest thing to me, like the every fish counts versus weigh-ins. Like I had a weird phase, like I was telling you in the beginning of this, where it was like I kind of was like biased pro FLW and then pro bass, and like, you know, I've had time to fish everything, and like they're all genuinely great organizations. Do I wish they, you know, worked a little better together and let us fish all the tournaments? Absolutely. But like, I mean, I told Kevin Hunt, I showed up to the Invitational and I was like, you know, first one, just kind of doing it to fish more tournaments. And I said this to him multiple times throughout the year. I was like, dude, I showed up and I was blown away by how well run this tournament trail is. And it's great. You know, I don't know what I expected, but like, it was above expectations. It was fun to fish. It was great. And I love the opens. I mean, I don't know, I might not be able to fish them next year with certain clauses or whatever, but like, I'd love to keep fishing all of it. It's been great. So
that's the truth, man. Like, here's the reality. If you put a little truth serum in a diehard MLF guy, he would tell you how screwed up Bass is and how glad he is on MLF, and then 10 minutes later start complaining about all the things he hates about MLF.
Yeah.
And then if you were to move one table over to a Bass guy, he would say, boy, I'm glad I'm Bass at MLF. I don't know how they're hanging on, bro. I'm glad I'm over here. And then would start complaining about Bass 10 minutes later. That's 100% what would happen.
No, I mean, everyone complains about everything at this point. It's like, you know, I just like that they run tournaments. They let me fish and they give me some money if I do well. Like it's a business. They're all making money, and they've done a good job. You know, I in this competition, like I get why they don't want to work together, right? They're kind of jockeying for the same fan base. So like, I get it. But like overall, as someone who's been around it, I fished since FLW transitioned into MLF, and I fished Bass since high school. I love them both. And I would be really, really bothered to see either of them ever go away. Like I like the option. I like BFLs. I like nations. I fish everything, and it's all great. The co-angler stuff switching up's interesting. I'm interested to see what they do with that. But like, you know, I have no complaints. I get it. Things are going to change. I'm not going to like all the changes, but like that doesn't make it a bad organization or a bad tournament trail, right? It just changes it. And if I like the change after a while, like scope rules, thought I'd hate those changes, right? And like I said, I'm not going to ever sound like
a scope for the 3 hours is so much better than a full day.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's been cool. There's some tournaments I've done better because of the 3 hours versus full day and vice versa. And like I said, some big fish I've caught this year. Do you
agree with that though? If you're a diehard scoper and you depend, and that's your deal, the 3 hours, the one period of scoping is far more beneficial to you than an entire tournament of scoping in 90% of the situations that you guys encounter. And I don't think that was intended when it came out. It was completely intended to be the opposite. Like, but when put into practice, elite scoping for 3 hours dominates elite scoping for 9 hours with a bunch of good scopers.
Yeah,
because the good scopers catch up to the elite scopers, and in the 3 hours, boom, you've done your damage. You've moved on. I mean, I've literally heard guys be like, okay, I've got 9 hours to fish this tournament. And if other guys had 24 hours, they could compete with the 9 hour guy.
Yeah.
But
you make a good point.
It's the exact opposite, I think, of what it was intended to do, which was level it. It actually separated it.
It did
way more.
Yeah, I noticed that. I mean, it required a change from me because I going into my season, I knew the 3 hours was going to be interesting, and I was a decent scoper. I wasn't I got 20 pounds every morning. And I heard Drew talk about it on some podcasts, and my roommate Ryan, he's just, dude, like, it makes me mad how good he is at picking a starting spot. Like, it's a skill. That's an under talked about skill in fishing, and the 3 hours has highlighted it. Like, assessing all the data you got from practice and not only putting together a good game plan, but just punching him in the mouth and having a big bag off. Like, I mean, every time I bumped into him at 9 o'clock. Oh, hey, dude, I got 2. Oh, I got 19 pounds. Like, what? How'd you do that? And then it clicked this year. Like, I just like to mill around. I like to just, like, I'm gonna scope over here. I'm gonna flip a little bit. I'm gonna swim a jig, and my best spot. If I don't think anyone's gonna hit it, I'll hit it at 9 o'clock. I don't care. And I learned from those guys, like, they just go. They find the best spot and they start right on the best part of the best spot, and they start casting at the biggest fish. And it's like, that's why the 3 hours works. And I had to, there's a learning curve this year with that. Like, I got fortunate at the Harris chain, but there was some events that I was like, whew, like, if I didn't slightly alter my approach and try to do that, try to always be like looking for the best. Don't look for decent stuff in practice. Don't look for like, it's good enough. Look for like, I'm going to win. If you have that I'm going to win moment, like, they always, I'm not going to say they recognize it, but like, they're looking for spots that you could win off of, not like a 2 from here, 2 from there. So that's to back your point. Absolutely. Like, the guys who can look and identify, and the float guys, I mean, the guys who can find floating fish and find a zone of just like a million floating, gosh, what they can do in 3 hours is terrifying.
It's more impressive to me because I'm trying to find the same fish, how they can identify that in practice.
I know.
And not be like, oh my God, I'm already 2 hours down and I floated around 2 coves and don't have the juice, like, just to be able to break. And like, Drew's amazing at that, and he's gone into depth on it.
Ryan's up.
Ryan's
there,
the same way. Banks, the Nut Brothers, those guys, and you did it older too. Like, you'd have a flooded lake, and Hackney would end up on the best stretch of bushes. It's the same.
Yeah,
it's skill, it's talent, it's time on the water, it's being a top angler in the world.
Frustrating to watch,
but it just creates anxiety when you're, especially, in the scope where you're out there, where you're like, okay, I know this exists somewhere, and I've taken this strategy to try to break it down, and I haven't found it. And I know that there's a group of guys that are just cast, catch, count, and mount.
Oh, I'm going to hear about it during it next year. I'm a little scared about that.
So I'm curious on this question then, because it seems like you got a little bit of old school in you. You're not like a guy who came up scoping. You have adopted it. You like to just fish everything. Doesn't really matter what it is. I feel like if there's a tournament that said no scope, but you can fish it, you're going to jump in that thing to fish it just for the sake of it. If you look at your resume, you fish 40, 50 tournaments a year probably. If you were to take your top 3 guys that you have looked up to on the pro tour, modeled your game after, kind of look up as the guys, like, who are your top 3? Either current, past, present.
Wheeler, Banks, and tie with Drew and Trey McKinney.
Okay.
That's what I'd say. I've thought about it a lot. Like, I can't leave Drew out because, like, I know Drew a little more personally now. So, like, the whole never meet your idols. It's like, he's just a normal guy now, but like, he's not. He's unbelievable. And just, Wheeler, because obviously, and then Banks and Trey, it's just like, what are they doing?
You just froze up here for a second. Oh, that might be my internet.
Yeah, you just got a glitch. You hear me?
Am I frozen now too?
You're a little frozen.
I think I might be frozen now
you're
too.
Good. I see you now.
We'll try to run a commercial and see if that pops up. But I think I might have lost my internet.
Oh no.
Hold on. I don't know what's going on here. You might be running good and I might be running a commercial.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a commercial right now.
Yeah.
Oh no. Is it my job to entertain the people now? We go through the trophy list. There's many seconds and thirds. Not many firsts, though. There's some high school firsts at the top. They look like BFL wins, so we just pretend they're BFL wins. Same trophy. What else we got?
Okay, I'm back. You got me?
Yeah, I gave a tour of the trophy shelf of all the seconds and thirds just in case they were watching.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
You saying Wheeler, Drew, and
Banks and Trey. Like, I'm kind of like, You got to throw Trey in. Wheeler, I mean, he's like the KVD right now. He's like, what are you doing to stay that dominant? And then the other young guys, I mean, Drew's more scope heavy, but like Banks and Trey are just fishing better than people. And like, they're younger than me. They're around my age, but it's like, what are you doing? It's just frustrating because like I've been working hard and trying to get better at things. And it's like, these guys just always seem to do like a little better. Like you can show up and, be like, oh, they've never seen this lake. I have a little local experience. I'm going to run the thing that I know. And they show up with less practice, less experience and beat you by a pound. So it's like, I don't know. It's just impressive. I have a thing where like I pick people who I don't understand how they do it. And then I want to break down what they know that I don't know. And then once I understand it, it makes more sense. Right. So like those people are still in that bubble of like, I don't know how they do it. Everyone else you can kind of assess and be like, okay, like they're better at this. They were on scope early. They were better at this. Like those guys, it's like we watch them on live and like you tell me why they catch them better. Like, I don't know.
You think there's any? Yeah. We had this discussion last night. I still think a lot of it comes out of time on the water.
Yeah, I mean, definitely time on the water, mental,
and an understanding and a certain mindset of it, of picking it up and starting at a young age and starting at the juniors and going through the high school and the college and learning the multi-days and breaking down not just the fisheries in your area, but expanding it. I mean, you're a prime example of that. Like if there wasn't college fishing or there wasn't high school fishing, you'd have been in some ponds, Peoria, the Illinois River. But because of that, you had the high school that took you out, that taught you multiple days. You then went to Auburn. You then learned the TVAs. You traveled to Florida. You traveled up north. You went all around the country, and you're building it while your mind is still molding and young, and you're talking with the guys on your team, and you're fishing against guys who are at the top, and you're all learning about it, and you don't even realize it, but you're base, your pyramid of knowledge base is growing, and then you just have to put the top cap on. And there's still a ton of guys that don't have it together. You have to have the drive, the passion. You have to be willing to dedicate to work at it. But
I have a third variable. I guess that's more than three.
Okay,
I've got one that like I think is under talked about, but you hear like mindset a lot in fishing. But yeah, like I think people touch on mindset, but like you can have the wrong mindset. And not like the wrong mindset, like, oh, this guy's pessimistic. Like, people think differently. Like, brains work different. There's a reason a grandmaster in chess who can visualize 20 moves ahead is better than me at chess, who can barely remember the names of the pieces, right? Like, there's stuff in our brains that's wired differently. Like, to give 100 people IQ tests, you're going to get a range. And that's just IQ. That's one metric. I think there's a lot of stuff going on that, like, I learned this a while ago, and I found this really interesting. I was talking to my old high school fishing partner, or we fished in college too, and it's called like aphantasia, right? It's how you think. Because like, you ever heard someone call someone a picture thinker? Like, you're a picture thinker. And we like joked about that. And then I got to thinking one day, I was like, dude, like I can't close my eyes and see pictures. And he's like, oh, I can visualize things great. And I was like, how does that carry over to fishing? Well, pre-scope, I mean, the offshore guys, just, this is speculation because I can only think how I think in my brain. But like, I don't think people talk about it enough, like how fundamentally different we all can even think about things. Like, not only like, you're talking to someone, you're like, how did you get that data? And then that was the conclusion you came to. Well, different thought process. It's not like he thought wrong. It's you thought different. And I don't think people talk about that enough in fishing. I think they like treat the mind as like, oh, we all start from this starting thought process, and then it's all about positive thinking where you go. Like, it's not just the positive thinking, it's the framework of how you wire your brain, right? And that's something like, it's almost, from what I've seen, it's almost impossible to change. But it's like, you see the guys who always finish 10th, 11th, 12th, top 20s. It's a mindset. Like, they have the talent to win. They're just mentally, the process they approach is to fish for, like, even know it or not. You look at Banks and Trey, they win. They're going to go win. You put them in a top 5, they're going to close it, right? And I mean, it just, at a certain point, it's just, there's physical stuff. But like, I think that's all mental. I think that final closing ability, that 5 spots, that angler of the year, that wheeler mentality, they've wired their brains to fish for that,
I do. That's really interesting. This is a wormhole. So I put it into two categories. And if I, for some reason, lose it again, you're still live and you can just end the show. Well, no, keep it on. I'll be back in a minute, but we'll go down this wormhole real quick and then we'll wrap things up. Okay. So having covered this game for a long time, there's like two, in my mind, very distinct camps of elite anglers. There's one that's like killer instinct, screw everyone else, not screw everyone else in a bad way, but like
I'm gonna do what I want to do. And
I'll put Trey McKinney in that camp, because even though he kind of comes off as a little bit, whatever, I'm Trey, he's still a kid, but he's got a freaking killer mentality. I saw that a little bit fishing with him in Mexico. I put Wheeler in that camp. I put KVD in that camp. I put an Edwin Evers in that camp, a Skeet Reese in that camp. Then there's a very measured, monotoned, everything just flows camp. And so it's like 2% of that who's like intimidation. They have a game plan. They're going to go get theirs. I put like a Jordan Lee, a Jay Shakurit, a Bank Shaw, like an Easton Fothergill. If you look at their like mannerisms on the water, you never see them get out of themselves. You see, like there's just you're like, and then there's 98% of the other people that are in the middle that are all trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like you have those two elite mentalities, and it has to be something in the brain of how it, but like, you don't see those guys get outside of themselves, and the other guys, you don't see them lose focus, and they both accomplish the same thing. But if you watch them throughout the day, and then there's very few outliers. Like to me, like Ike would be a major outlier. Like you don't see a lot of guys who like completely fly off the handles, but are still fish within themselves and have great careers. You'll see, bad years, a really good year where they get on a roll and down.
Yeah.
But especially since the scope and the newer stuff has come out over the last 5 or 6 years, it's a lot of guys who have very similar personalities in my mind who dominate this stuff. And then the other camp, I could be totally off base on that, but just looking at it from the outside, as I said, I think it's 1%, 98% in the middle, and the 98% we're fighting ourselves on the water, and that other 1% is out to accomplish a goal, and the other 1% is out understanding something that the rest of us literally don't understand because our brains are interpreting it differently.
Yeah, because we don't try to change. Like, when was the last time you sat down and said, I want to change how I interpret data, right? You don't. You try to get better data. You try to get more data, but you don't think of like, is the processor the slowest part here? Or not the slowest part, but like, is the issue in the processor, right? Is that what I can maximize? And I'm not going to say I do it. I just acknowledge that it's a thing. But like a big one, I talked to Ryan about this a lot, with like the concept of being stuck in like a 20th place finish rut sometimes, which like crazy to call it a rut, but like at times it can be when you want to win a tournament. And it's, I'm not going to say I'm good at it, but I have had to rewire. It's the scope to no scope or vice versa transition, right? It's the like, okay, I don't fundamentally like change, right? Like I feel like people don't like change. It's just built into us. But like sometimes you have to sit down, acknowledge that there's a big change that has to be made, and not just surface level. Like I'm going to learn scope to this. I'm going to learn scope to compete enough. I'm going to learn like that opens year. It was, that's when I developed the ability to try to change my mindset, I guess, because it's like, did I have any partialness towards scope? Like, I mean, it was cool. I liked it. I liked that I could, see things down there. It helped me with certain things. But like, as far as emotion goes, you just got to cut that out. And I was like, I need to get better at this. And I'm willing. I mean, fishing was all I wanted. It's, being on the elites at that time, being on a professional level in the opens was the goal. And I acknowledged, okay, I want to be at this level. To get to this level, I can't have a bomb. But to be better at fishing, right, to get to the point where I can win tournaments, if I want to be the best ever, one of the best ever, I have to lose a little bit. And not like show up, sign up, get my 80th place and go home, like not signing up for it. But to learn live scope, I had to do it now. And like my mom, you know, she follows fishing closely. I was telling her, it's like, I got to do it now. I realize this is what I've been missing. Like, you have to do it right now. Like, you have to do it at a Ouachita right now when you just paid $3,000. Like, yes, I have to do it right now. She's like, but what if it doesn't work and you don't get paid and then you blow your season? I'm like, well, oh, well, you know, like, and that's it. Oh, well, sounds casual now, but at the time that event was the most important event of my life to that point. But like, it's just, I'm going to rewire how I think about this. I'm not just going to learn enough to get through this event and maybe get up to 50s, maybe to get up 40s. Like, no. My ceiling with what I'm doing is here. The ceiling for this is over here. But I have to start down here, right? I'm going to have to go below where I'm fishing now, but the ceiling's higher. And it's hard. I mean, you talk to a lot of people, and that's why there's a lot of scope hate. Because a lot of people without scope, truly without scope on certain fisheries, have hit their ceiling. And they might be amazing. Before scope came out, they were at the ceiling. They were whooping everyone. But then, you know, scope ceiling's up here. So guys are beating them who aren't even, you know, to their ceiling. And I feel like acknowledging that and then rewiring your brain to get into a new ceiling is, and scope's the easy one, but like it's everything, you know, it's learning fish behavior. It's just, it can go down every rabbit hole of like assessing with where the highest ceiling is and then attacking that with everything you got to your abilities, leveraging your strengths and just getting to the highest ceiling you can get. Why limit yourself? Why put yourself in a, you know, a bubble where you can't get better? That's always been how I've tried to view it. And it's hard though. Like, it's easy to say, hard to go take your 130th on Ouachita in what feels like the most important tournament of your life and drive home sad without any money. A lot different in practice, but like, I think there's something to it. And I wish I could do it more, but like, I fall victim to comfortability like everyone else, right? Like, I like doing what's comfortable. I was on Pickwick the other day and I was like, where are the schools at? Like, I miss my schools. And then I had to go catch some floating, which isn't my strength, but I was like, I need to not dump the schools, but like adjust, right? Don't find the thing that you can catch the most weight doing, even if you're a little uncomfortable doing it. And then if you're in a corner and you have to, it's the last tournament, you have to qualify, fish your strengths and do what you do. Scratch, claw, catch an extra ounce, catch an extra pound. But like, when it's not that fight or flight mode, when everything doesn't come down to that tournament, learn, get better. You know, that's kind of a summary of like my belief on the mindset thing. It's hard though, very hard to do. I would love to talk to some mental coaches that some pro athletes get to talk to. And like, I'm sure it would blow your mind if you could get access to some of the coaches and stuff like that that's out there for.
I just did one last month.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's awesome. How was
reading
that?
A book? It's good. I mean, obviously it didn't work in the last tournament, but even though I had a bad tournament, my mental acuity on the water was completely different. Like, I wasn't beating myself up. I never panicked. I didn't do it like I want to go back to this hype. Aphantasia is what you call it.
Yeah, I'm no expert.
Okay, so I was like looking it up. So the opposite of that is hyperaphantasia. So then the aphantasia is like the inability to visualize anything. But hyperaphantasia,
it's a whole spectrum.
Is a cognitive condition where individuals experience exceptional vivid mental imagery, sometimes described as vivid as seeing the real thing. Well, they can visualize objects, scenarios, or experiences with remarkable clarity and sensory details. It's the opposite of where they're unable to. So their visual vividness, they can see mental images with photorealistic clarity, often described as cinematic or lifelike, multisensory imagery. They can vividly imagine sound, smells, tastes, enhance memory and creativity. The vividness of mental imagery can improve recall of visual details and support creative pursuits and emotional amplification. And it's only in 2 to 3% of adults, slightly higher estimates in children, and often undiagnosed. Its formation of mental imagery involves multiple brain regions, including the prefrontal. I'm going to get into some words here that are going to clearly show that I don't have whatever this is. Parental, temporal, and visual cortexes. Research suggests that the vividness of this imagery may be linked to activity, early visual cortex and frontal cortex. Interesting.
Think about that.
Highly realistic visualization, multisensory experiences, and enhanced creativity or memory abilities distinguish it from typical mental imagery from most people in the.
Think about that before scope, dude. Think about side scan. You side scan over something. You're out there. I'm just dragging a jig. I'm just like, oh, clanked into something. Oh,
well, I'm thinking. I mean, Amart.
Exactly.
Steve Kennedy.
Steve Kennedy is the first one that comes to mind. The classic when he's swimming a jig and he's visualized and he catches a 4-pounder, right? He was
throw a and then you want to get a up and dirty. Throw a Brian Thrift or an Andy Morgan in there.
And scope for me, this is something I bet no one's ever said. Scope leveled the aphantasia playing field for me. I can't visualize, but now I can see, right? So like, there's a wormhole you can go down right there. It's
Hamilton says he clearly has a disease, but he only visualizes chaos.
That sounds about right.
I think we leave it at that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to get in here? I've thoroughly enjoyed this hour and 41 minutes.
No, thank you for having me, dude. I like talking fishing to anyone. This was great.
Yeah. That's a big time wormhole.
Yeah, you can go forever. You can do a whole show on that. You should do that. You should collect a bunch of people like Amart style thought processes and just get a think tank going and be like, how do you think? How does your brain work? Like, this might be crazy, but you think different. Explain how you think.
I would have to think that a lot of guys who have had success Carolina rigging have this.
Yeah.
Because I have absolutely no visual ability of what a Carolina rig is doing on the bottom, but the guys who do and who catch them on it, they have to have this. Because they have to like understand what the hell they're or think they understand. They have to have
to tie this all back together. It's why I started talking about this. We're questioning what are these people doing differently, and I think we need to question how are they thinking different.
Yeah, I actually, like, no joke, on my notes when he started talking about it, I have Randy Haynes written right there. Of the early guys who were out there, you know, the kind of pioneers of KVD. Like KVD wasn't going fast and just chucking a crankbait because it was good for his health. It was because he knew what he was looking for. He understood what was going on down there.
Yep. Yeah. And that's just, sorry, last side note, but aphantasia, that's just the one I learned about, right? That's the one my friend we're talking. There, the amount of stuff, I'm sure, that if you analyze.
I've gone down. For 2 years, I was all about perceptual blindness or inattentive blindness or something about how the body determines what's important and what's not, and why you often overlook the easiest and most productive patterns is because at some point in practice, your body as a human being for survival has determined that what you have found important is secondary points in 15 to 25 feet of water, and then your brain becomes unable to actually see the dock or the seawall or the shallow flat or the schooling fish or whatever because you're so tuned in. That goes back to early, cognitive survival instincts. This is what's important to survive, and then we throw our hunter gatherer instincts in that takes over from that. And then that's why after the tournament you talk to your buddy and he's like, oh, I was just flipping docks on flats, you didn't see the shad popping, and you were like, no, I was running every freaking secondary point with rock adjacent to the main lake where a channel swing swung up against it, and I drove past every single freaking spot that you could roll up, and you come in and you're like, how the hell does everyone have 18 pounds and you have 4 pounds?
Yep. Yeah,
and then you study perceptual blindness and you're like, oh, I was clearly I was unable to see that pattern because I did not clear my mind and was not open, which is often why you hear guys who had mechanical issues, shitty practices, only had 1 day of practice, just showed up to the lake because they're open to whatever is in front of them and they're not dialed into what it is through the typical tournament practice process that we've all been ingrained in since we were kids.
100%. It doesn't all have to make sense. You just have to catch 5 big ones, or in my case, many big ones now, or many decent sized ones.
Many decent sized ones gets the job done.
That'll be fine.
I like the varying weight that they do occasionally, like where it changes. I like the varying weight.
I want every minimum to be 1.5 pounds, please. I can catch some little ones, dude. I'm good at that.
Remember that first MLF BPT, one of the first ones there on Table Rock, where the guys just got on those schools 1.25 pounds and just absolutely went to town.
That's some records that'll never be broken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good times. I wish I was there for that one.
Well, I know you were driving last night. You've had a long time. I greatly appreciate you jumping on early in the morning. Congratulations on a BPT berth, and you got a busy fall and spring to get ready for your arrival on the BPT or possibly Elite Series or both, or who knows right now. But
yep, we'll see. Gonna go flip some grass mats the rest of the day and see if we learn something new.
Oh, you're going fishing today?
Yeah, I live 5 minutes from Guntersville. Why not?
Oh boy, I love it.
Well, thanks
All
for
right.
having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. See you, Connor.
See you, buddy.
And if you look at his stats, he might have a little bit of everything going on because, while he doesn't have the W's, while he doesn't have the wins, he's been really close to a lot of wins and a lot of consistency. So we got Uncle Frank tomorrow. Talk to everyone then. See ya.